So we are at the 5 week out mark, which is very exciting. So technically, it's 5 weeks and 3 days, 5 weeks and 3 days, whatever, 38 days out is. So I have recently dyed my hair, and it's went the color I kind of want it in places, and then other places it's not. So I'd imagine it'll be sorted for the show. Anyway, so for quite an interesting update, at least from my end, since 2017, every prep I have done, I've suffered severe, and I mean pretty severe, heartburn, acid reflux, essentially just stomach issues and gut health issues. And I've never known what the true cause is or the true reasoning of it's been. I've been unsure if it's a liver issue, if it's a gallbladder issue, yada yada yada, or if it's just intolerances to certain food sources. So for years I've done a system of elimination with certain food sources, and then I would avoid certain drugs. I would try to manage my stress better, yada yada yada. I take all the supplements in the world to manage my health, which my blood work at the moment is the best it's ever been, ever. But I'm still getting said issues. I've still been experiencing heartburn, indigestion, acid reflux since essentially about 12, 14 weeks out, which is not ideal. Especially since I've been doing this once for so long, 10 fucking years. And it exasperates. It gets worse every prep, and then going into the off season, it never then goes back to normal. It's always kind of just there in the background. So I kind of bit the bullet, and recently that I've been trying to get to the true source of the true reason of what the fuck is going on with my stomach. And then I just kind of fell upon a podcast that I think I briefly listened to years ago and never actually paid attention. Clearly didn't pay enough attention to it. It was the J3 University one with Dean St. Mark discussing gut health and anabolics and things like that. And I got halfway through that podcast, I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to send Dean a message, chat to him, and then potentially get on a call with him. So yesterday I did a call with him. Sent over my diet, sent over the symptoms, what makes it worse, what makes it better, when I've noticed it's happened, yada yada yada. And within the first 5 minutes of the call, he was like, yeah, it's either one of these two things or a combination of these two things. And I wouldn't bore you guys with the details because it's fucking boring. It's a combination of low stomach acid, which, because the stomach acid is there, is our first and somewhat last line of defense if there's any bacteria in our food, anything like that, which explains a lot why often in the off season, if I get like a cheat meal that just doesn't sit right, it decimates me for days on end. And then it also makes sense that whenever I get a bit of a bug in a prep setting, it wipes me out. So a couple weeks ago, when I got really bad stomach issues with the yogurt, that was brought on due to eating some likely now bacteria-ridden veggies. They just sat and sweated, and I didn't do anything to try. I should have bent them, but I didn't. So because my low stomach acid is low, it's not where it should be. I'm finding it harder to digest certain meals, which is essentially the reason I don't really feel hungry, and I've not felt hungry in the off season. 5 weeks out and I still don't feel hungry, which in this setting is nice, but in a prep setting, not so much. Or rather, off season setting. Sorry. And then along with that is that is then knocking onto the gallbladder and the liver, and they produce bile, which goes into the small intestine, which helps deal with said bacteria that was in the stomach. So they're having to essentially go into overproduction to compensate for the low stomach acid, which explains why I often get bile that comes up. So he sent me some supplements and gave me a list of supplements to use to help support healthy stomach acid, get my stomach acid back to where it should be, And then some stuff to help with my liver and gallbladder. So it's essentially 4 supplements. It's pepsin, betaine HCl with pepsin, Lipo Gold, which is a lipase, which, because my stomach acid isn't where it should be, the digestive enzymes in my stomach has essentially gotten lazy. So Lipo Gold helps with the production, the breakdown of protein and fats. Betaine HCl helps with stomach acid and helps get stomach acid back to normal. That's one I'm going to have to kick the fuck out of. In terms of dosage, he's said he has had people up to 35 caps a day. 35 caps a meal, with every solid protein source. So a lot. That one's the pricey one. I ordered it last night from Amazon. I think I ordered 5 tubs. It came to £69 on its own, and that's me doing 5 caps a meal, 4 times a day. So essentially 20 caps a day, and that's just for a month. So if I need to go more, I need to use more. And then the supplement needs Tudka because my liver is in overdrive, and that helps support my liver. And then the digestive stack that supplement needs also do, which again helps maintain the healthy stomach acid. Also, the interesting thing is histamine. I don't really understand a lot of it, but from the bare bones of what I understand is that everything contains histamine or creates histamine, something, and our body has to deal with that. And then if you get an abundance of it, that's when these issues arise. And obviously, me use the androgens I'm using are making this worse. And then there's a bunch of other things that I've been using that are making this worse, such as the veggies I've been eating, and then some other lot of things. So those veggies are now out, not using them. And already I've had meal 1. Usually meal 1 I would have a combination of courgette, aubergine, onion, and peppers, and a little bit of sauerkraut, and I do that in a egg white omelette thing with my steak. That's been pulled. So this morning I just did the courgette but with the skin off, and it's the best my stomach's felt in a long time. And I'm also noticing I'm feeling a bit hungrier, which is nice. So there's a few things he's told me to do. Also ordered, he also had me get a 1-a-day antihistamine, which I've already taken. I got the Perthes one, and that should help with just managing the amount of histamine. I could be explaining the histamine part at least quite drastically wrong, but you kind of get the point I'm trying to make. But the interesting thing with that is, with what's going on with the histamine issue, that is likely causing me to hold a little bit more water. So as soon as that is taken care of across the next 5 days, I would imagine I'm going to get a little bit tighter and drier and lose some water, because histamines cause you to hold cellular and intracellular water. And obviously it's the intracellular water we don't want. So yeah, not ideal having this issue again, but the stress and the weight that was taken off my shoulders yesterday after speaking to Dean, fuck me. I've had these issues for so long, and in off seasons it makes it tricky to push food, because there's only certain food sources I can actually digest and handle. So I'm more excited than I have ever been to actually get into the off season, because there's a few tests I'm going to get done, a microbiome test and an advanced blood work test, to actually get to the bottom of why this is happening, and then to actually get to the root cause and fix the root cause. I don't just want to be spending £80 a month on betaine HCl for the sake of it. But yeah, I'm happy with knowing what the fuck's the problem. Anyway, so that's been happening. The past 2 weeks have been somewhat a bit stressful, just with some personal stuff that's going on. So my sleep it got really good and then it got really bad. And then I've just been stuck in my head a lot more. So some drastic changes have been made. Kind of main one is essentially the media I take in, what I'm taking in, what I'm doing during the day. For years in preps, I would watch TV, I'd watch films, just anything that tickled my fancy. But a lot of what I enjoy, especially in preps, is like quite dramatic and heavy films. Band of Brothers. I like a lot of war stuff. I feel like it puts things into perspective. Like if I'm having a bad day and I'm feeling all like down on myself, watch a film about people blowing up, and like it makes going to the gym and getting on the bike for an hour. It puts things into perspective. But what it does also do is it makes me more in my head, and I'm also more anxious and stressed. So for the past at least 2 days, I've been kind of binging a lot of bodybuilding vlogs, podcasts, that type of thing, and I'm trying to find like some light-hearted TV shows to watch to kill the time. But I'm yet to land on one. So if anyone knows of anything to watch, let me know. So there's that. I've also adjusted the kind of nighttime routine I have along with the morning routine. So it's less in stone, black and white. I need to get up at this time, need to be in bed by this time. It's like, right, what's tomorrow look like? Sweet, I can get out of bed tomorrow at 8. What's tomorrow look like? I need to be up by 5. Okay, I need to be in bed by this time then to make sure I'm getting a minimum of 6.5 hours sleep. That's kind of what I'm aiming for, or at least to be in bed for 7 hours. If I'm waking up, if I'm getting up to piss, if I'm like restless, that is what it is, but I'm in bed for a solid 7. Anyone that's prepped, anyone that's used the drugs that we use, Tren, Clen, your fat burners, it just does it gets to a point where being comfortable is like finding a unicorn would be easier. Perfect example, I just walked the dog down to the shop and back to pick up some green peas, cucumber, tomatoes. For what else did I get? I think what was it? I wanted to get green peppers because apparently they're low in histamine and they're water soluble. So essentially the change I've had to do with the veggies is they have to be low in histamine and they also have to be water soluble. So I wanted to get green peppers and asparagus and broccoli, but they didn't have it, so I'll likely grab some tonight. Carrots, that's what I got. And then when I came back, the top I had under my hoodie was pissing a sweat. My body heat was sky high, and that's me doing it took me 40 minutes, give or take, to get down there and back. It's 4,700 steps, and like genuinely, you would have thought I just got off the bike doing cardio. So yeah, in terms of changes with what's going on with actual like me getting coached, I'll put that here. Very little changes. I'd imagine a big shift over the next 4 to 5 days in body weight and water, with managing my stress better, with putting in these supplements, managing the histamine issue with antihistamine, changing my veggies, that type of thing. I think I'll hit 200 pound by next Tuesday with these changes. So Brad dropped my intra-carb to 25 grams. That was one of the things that was causing me some heartburn issues. It's likely the artificial sweeteners. I thought it was the citric acid. It's not. It's likely the artificial sweeteners. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really dilute my intra quite drastically. I was mixing in like a steel bottle I have, which is a litre. But I'm just going to make sure I have it in a 1.5 litre, because the more dilute it's going to be, the easier it is for my stomach to break it down. So yeah, happy with how everything is. I'm happy with the spot I'm in. I'm even happier knowing that in about a week's time I'm going to look drastically different with all these changes, with the background, with what's going on with my health. And then I'm really excited going into the off season now that I know, okay, this is the reason I've had these issues. This is how I'm going to fix it. So initially I was going to potentially prep early next year, depending on how this year went, but because of these health issues, I want to fix them and actually have them fixed and sorted and get the tests I need done. So next year will be a full year off. So I'll likely be back on stage 2025 early, but with a solid year under my belt of a better off season, a more productive off season, working with Brad, and he pushes food